Welcome everybody to another episode of Style Versus. My name is Kun, of course, and today I have the amazing Melissa St. Jean in the building. Say hi to everyone, Melissa.
Hello, hi. Nice to meet you all.
Excellent, excellent. So what we're talking today about Style Versus is, of course, we're talking about style, but we're also going to get to learn the person behind the outfit, the person who puts the outfit together. So, I met you as an artist, amazing creative, and someone with such distinction. It's not, you cannot miss you, which is very, very impactful. So can you break down and tell us, how'd you start on let's start in art. Like, how did you become an artist, and kind of take us from there?
So I've been doing art since I was a little girl. It's been something that has been my safe space, and it's also been just a way for me to express myself creatively. And it's just, I planted a seed, basically a universe that I created, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and
Wow.
turned basically into Mela paints. So it's just something that has always been near and dear to my heart, and something that helps me express myself, and it translates into everything that I do. So it translates into what I wear, how I look, how I move, how I navigate the world. It just is my whole life. It's my universe,
Wow.
if you will.
That's really cool. And it's rare to even hear someone make it that big of a significance, because sometimes we hear artists say, "Oh, I'm just an artist," but it's not really putting the entire weight of identity behind it, because essentially not even as an artist, but as a creative, there's so much more weight on your shoulders, because it's not like you're directed to create and make things for the world, but it's for you as a person, a version of self-expression. Can you tell, how has that shaped how you express yourself to the world?
I mean, to me, it's like therapy, and my art is not for anyone else but myself. It's just for me, and it's just for me to navigate this world the best way that I can, as comfortably, as safely as I can, by creating a world that's my own. Like, I just create my own world. And for me to encompass it into every single thing that I do, I recently decided to do that.
Wow.
And I recently decided that art is supposed to be everything. Like, you know how cash rules everything around me?
Yeah.
It's art rules everything around me.
Ooh,
So
trademark
it's
that.
literally everything. I'm gonna do that. It's everything for me. Like, the way that I eat, the way that I speak, the way that I sleep, the way that I wake up, the way that I walk in this earth, my confidence, everything is from art and being creative. And it's just a glimpse inside my mind. It's a way for me to express the chaos and express the beautiful world that I created in my mind, and I just want to bring it into reality.
Wow, that's very well said.
Thank you.
And it's like even saying before, it's rare to even meet someone with that kind of dynamic where they fully embrace the creative side. They fully embrace being an artist, because we know about starving artists. We know about people. We know about the artists that they want to do the art, but then they don't know what to do, and they're kind of scared. They're anxious and all those kind of things. But to hear wholeheartedly, that's your form of expression. It's a form of who you are, and it's a representation of who you are, which is another big thing too. It's really rare to hear full ownership on all the sides. So even to add more to the ownership, like, how is that? Well, I might as well talk about a little bit of my creative side as well. So for me, I am photographer first. Everything is afterwards. So
Okay, that's cool.
so for me, photography really changed my life, because it opened my eyes to how beautiful the world really is. It opened my eyes to how, just to look at the small, minute things. Like, even, I remember when I first started practicing, I had a zoom lens, and I was just walking around my community, and I remember I put the zoom lens, I looked all the way up, and I saw a spider. I'm like, well, that's cool. But listen, when I went to the computer and I saw how the spider looked on a photo, it was beautiful. It had dots, speckles, like, it was uniform but chaotic at the same time. And it started to really have me appreciate nature in such a different way, because a lot of us are going to go outside like, oh no, that's a plant. But like when you go and look at the plant,
Yeah.
and look at the design, the colors, the shading, the textures, it's like it unlocks a whole different thing.
Yeah, you get such a great appreciation for that. Even as an artist myself, like I can look at you and be like, okay, this is how I draw your eyes, this is how I draw your nose, this is how I do. And it's just basically studying. You're constantly studying. You're a student. You're always a student studying different things and textures, because if you don't, then how will you like learn how to do those things? And how will you learn to appreciate the structure and the form, the shades, the lighting, the hues of different things if you're not constantly studying? And I can resonate with the fact that, especially as an artist, like you as a photographer, you basically just look at the world in a different light, and you're looking at the world in a different angle than anybody else would, because people would just walk around and just everything is so mundane.
Yeah.
But when you become a more creative and you really embody that creativity, then everything is just so much more beautiful, and everything is so much more vibrant and amazing. And the simple things that people take for granted are basically just a spectacle. And that's the best part about being an artist, is making everything a spectacle. And another thing that I like about being an artist is that my brain is crazy. Like, my brain is crazy. So, like, for instance, if you ask me to draw something from memory, it's not going to look anything like what it really looks like. It's going to be very weird and abstract, which is why references are very important. But it's just that it's just a way to organize your thoughts. That's how I feel about it.
Wow. Damn. That's huge.
It's funny. It's real fun to walk around and look at people and say, like, I could draw you. I could paint you. That's easy. Your face is easy.
And that's a cooler perspective too, because like I said, you as a human being, your experiences with life, it evolves because you see completely differently. Your perspective is so different.
Yeah.
And just how you just even mentioned how when you're looking at a person, you can see how you can draw that person. You can see where you're going to shade them, how the outline is, the silhouette's going to look.
Yep.
That you can't be normal and do that.
Exactly. You got to be a weirdo to do that. And I embrace my inner weirdo. That's my favorite thing to do, is just be weird and strange. So, it helps with the creativity. It helps with bringing the vision to life. And it also helps with creating something unique and strange at the same time, or thought-provoking, or emotional, or anything like that. And my favorite saying is, you can't spell paint without pain.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm going to copyright that. I'm copyrighting that.
Yeah, say that one more time.
You can't spell paint without pain.
Mm.
So it's always important to take every single emotion that you feel and translate it into your art form, because it's not always rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes you do feel that pain, and you translate it into something amazing. I've created some amazing pieces in despair. But
Wow.
And it's just like, at this point, I don't take my pain as something negative anymore. I just take it and translate it onto a canvas.
Wow. That last part about painting the canvas, that's a huge shift, especially for an emotional aspect, because instead of going through all the pain on your own, you have an actual outlet that forms something beautiful.
Yeah. I created the best stuff in my darkest times. The best stuff. And it's just like, you just transmute that energy into something else. And of course, if you're feeling negative, canvases basically absorb energy like a child. They absorb it. So if you're creating an art piece and you have hate, that piece is going to be filled with hate, and people are going to be able to feel it. If you have sadness, it's going to be filled with, I try not to put those negative energies into a canvas, but more so, if I do feel sad, I just turn it into passion. Ooh. And throw it onto the canvas and make sure that it's something that can be felt, even through an image. Like, if a picture of it can be felt, and once you're in front of it, you're just blown away. That's my favorite thing to do.
Wow. Oh, I gotta recollect my thoughts on that because that was
collect them all.
Wow. It's beautiful to hear such movement of energy into effective areas.
Yeah.
Because in most cases, it's not effective. It's more, oh, I'm lashing out, or I'm causing destruction, or I'm hiding away, or it's more hiding,
Yeah.
and less giving. Because in most cases, when you're in pain, you're taught to, well, you're gonna either
Just
hide to yourself, and you become a volcano, and then you erupt at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But you switch that and start to give, and then your heart is healed at the same time.
Yeah. And then you get a beautiful creation at the end of that.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's more productive to transmute your energy into something creative instead of just lashing out on people, being angry with people. It's more productive that way.
Wow. Damn. I didn't even expect to hear none of that today.
You said you wanted to get deep. Let's get deep. That's what it is.
And I can relate to that because when I was younger, I wasn't aware I was a creative at that time. So I was a volcano at some point. But then when I got to like learn more about photography and going out there with the camera, and then when I was sad, or maybe I just know what was going on, I did like little photo walks.
Yeah.
So I walked out I walked around my apartment, I walked around the community, started taking pictures of things. Then when I got back home, put them on the computer, like, wow. And at that point, I'm looking at the photo like, dang, he was tough. Like, this is beautiful stuff. Like, damn, I did that.
You gotta praise yourself. You have to. So it makes sense. And being a volcano, I know how to be a volcano. Don't get me wrong. But it's just like learning about yourself and learning about what makes you tick and learning about what calm you down, like stop your volcano from erupting is important. Like, especially as an adult, you have to keep on keeping on somehow. How do you do it? So you just find something that you're passionate about and just pour your entire self into it.
Yeah, that's very important because, I mean, especially within society as it is right now, there's a lack of creativity for most people. It's more the mundane. Yep. It's more, I'm just going to follow what someone else is doing. I remember seeing an Erykah Badu video, and she said just about 90% of people follow. Yeah. And that really had me thinking because 90% of people follow, that's a good majority of the planet.
Yeah.
And just to really put that in perspective, as a creative, you may see things that are influences, but for most like really stringent creators that everything comes from here, there's nothing you can follow.
Yeah, you follow yourself. You just follow yourself. That's all. And you look behind at your past self and you look forward at your future self and what you want to create for yourself. You're basically creating yourself. So, and you don't let anyone or anything influence you. You just do whatever feels right.
I want you to expound more on do what feels right because I don't want to say I feel, but I realized that could be taken astray. Because some people say, oh, I feel like I want to harm something, or I feel I want to do this. But it's not something that they're doing in an actual beneficial way. It's more of self-destruction or destruction to the outward world instead of actually creating a space or creating a haven or creating something that someone can talk to. So can you expound on that a little bit more?
A lot of people don't have the capacity to be creative. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, and it takes a lot of soul searching, and it takes a lot of being honest with yourself. And a lot of people don't want to be honest with themselves, and that's fine. That's fine. Like, if you don't want to be honest with yourself, who can you be honest with? And it's just like, how can you be honest with yourself if you're not expressing yourself the way that you would want to? And a lot of people are afraid to express themselves because they think about what other people think. Can I curse?
Yeah.
Fuck what people think. Fuck what people think. And just the only person that matters is you. and what you think about yourself. And if you're not satisfied, work on being satisfied. And work every single day until you're satisfied, until you can look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I'm that bitch, or I'm that guy, or I'm that they, whatever you like. Just make sure that you're satisfied with yourself and you're happy with the choices that you make. That's really all it takes. And not necessarily harming people, like that's not okay. But if it's just for you, by you, with yourself, I don't see what's the problem with just being yourself. Forget what people think and care about what you think, and everything else will follow.
Yeah. And it's actually a really cool thing, because that statement, it does get thrown around like, oh, being yourself. But a lot of people feel that who they are at the inside, they cannot let that out. And I remember when I was going through my shadow work journey, and for people who don't know what shadow work is, it's revealing the sides you hide of yourself out to the world without any shame and being vulnerable. And when I went through that journey, it was really interesting, because I always used to rethink, or I always like, oh, what is this person thinking about me? Like when I started my social skills, it was such a harrowing ideal, because I had to go out there, I had to talk to people, I had to navigate conversations and different things, and think, oh, people, this person's like me, or that person like me. Like I will say something and I say a facial expression like, oh, that person like what I said. Like, so it took a while of actually navigating social skills, but still working on the inside of okay, how am I expressing myself to these people? How am I expressing myself to the world? How am I being received? And there's a book I read recently, not really plugging the book, but it was a huge influence on my life. It was by Jia Jiang, and it's called Rejection Proof. I remember one day I was at home, I was working on a new growth development plan. That's why I grew up. I make development plans. And I saw the TED Talk, because he talked about how to be okay with rejection. And because me and the guy, we have to act women now, we have to do all these things, we have to initiate a lot of things. But a lot of times we don't know how to handle rejection. We don't know, like, oh, I don't know what to do. But the biggest thing from the book and the video was, people are just rejecting your idea, not you. Yeah. And then he had another chapter in the book where he talked about reforming your idea so people will accept it. And I remember that. I'm like, wow. Because when it comes to people, someone's rejecting an idea of you at that time, but let's say fast forward 5 years, you grow, you're now attracted to that person. And it's such a weird thing to think about and say, but in actuality, that's the truth. Because let's say me 10 years ago, you would not have liked me 10 years ago. But me now is different and is more attractive than how I was 10 years ago. Because my perspective, mindset, style, everything has changed about me. Back then, it was more scared. Now it's more acceptance and truth and belief and all different kind of things. So I would say, to even add on to that, what are some things that you felt rejected as an artist, but now later on, as you've grown as an artist, things that you accept?
That's a good question. I think my skill level, because when I was about like 18 years old, well, 17, 18, I was actually applying for fashion school. Oh. And I wanted to go to Pratt, or I just wanted to go to, and I applied. I put my best foot forward, and I got denied. And that really crushed me. That crushed me a lot, especially with that dream of being a fashion designer. That thing coming back, though. It's coming back. But the thing is that for a while, I kind of gave up on fashion and design, and I was really low down about it, and I was like really sad about it. And that was one of my main creative outlets at that time. But I find that was a blessing, because I literally transmuted that energy into painting. That's when I discovered that I love to paint. I love to draw because I was drawing fashion looks. But then I realized that I can draw anything. If I look at something, I can draw anything. And after that, I just kind of like did it as a hobby more so, like doing little paintings here and there for people, doing little sketches here and there for people if they asked me to. And then I was like, I want to do better. I want to do better at this. Like, I want to learn how to do more. I want to learn how to accept that my skill level and figure out how can I expand on that. And from there, I'm self-taught. So I went on YouTube, I went on Instagram, I went on Facebook, and I looked up all the tutorials on how to do hyperrealism, how to sketch, how to shade, how to highlight, how to do everything, just these simple steps. And from there, my art like literally elevated within 6 months.
Wow.
And I was so impressed with myself. And that made me believe that I could do anything. If I put my mind to it, I could do anything.
100%.
So that helped me basically elevate my art to the level that it's at. And I still don't think that it's where it needs to be. And it will never be, because art is ever evolving. And I'm always going to be evolving with my art. So it's just, I took it from a destination to enjoying the journey. Ooh. And knowing that my skill level is always going to be a journey until I die. So I always have room for improvement. And it doesn't matter how long I don't pick up a paintbrush or a pencil. I always see a level of improvement every time I pick it up. So that made me so much more confident in my skills and so much more confident in my potential. So it's a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing that I got rejected from fashion school.
Wow. Damn. I love how that whole story just turned around.
Gotta put it in a circle.
Wow. And that's actually an amazing turnaround, because even in the book, he talked about there's a company he was starting, and he has a hard time getting funding, all these different kind of things. So his wife told him to go take a walk, relax. And he went on his journey, his little walk that time, and he came back with a whole new idea and founded another company because he took that break, and he just rerouted that rejection into something else. And that's a powerful thing too, because most people, once they get rejected, once they're like, oh, but
I don't want to do it anymore. I'm scared. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, they rejected me.
Yeah.
And it takes a pretty strong person, or someone who's really, I won't say strong, someone who's really willing
And resilient.
Yes, to turn something around that they felt so good for them, and they assumed this and assumed that, but it just wasn't something that was for them. And to come back and like, damn, maybe that wasn't for me. Maybe I should have did that.
Yeah.
But then to come, well, okay, since I learned that wasn't for me, I could come over here and do this, and then excel amazing over here while they were struggling over there. That's a big thing I realized too when it comes to rejection and acceptance. If you're rejecting, if you feel something that you should be doing, you accept it, and then you're just doing horrible and nothing's working out for you. Because I've seen a picture where it says, someone's holding on to the rope, and sometimes you have to let go in order for things to grow.
Yeah.
Like, you can only take so much before you have to let go of the rope.
Yep.
And some people just still like, no, it's going to work. I'm going to make it happen.
And sometimes you hurt yourself more by holding on to the rope. Sometimes you just got to let it go and then find something else that wants to hold on to you too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's important. So it's just, rejection is a part of life, and it's inevitable. It's going to happen. But it's what you do with the rejection after it happens. And even before I started doing art, I was into photography. I was like, I got to find a creative outlet, something. Because I always knew from when I was a child that I need to create. If I don't create, I will die. That's how I felt.
Damn.
So I just needed to create something. And I've always loved the idea of making nothing or something out of nothing. So it's just... rejection is going to happen. I've even been rejected now with my art, and I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, I have a vision, and I'm going to make that vision work. no matter what. Just be passionate and be obsessed. Be obsessed with the things that you love, and it'll work for you. It'll come back to you in more positive ways.
That's 100% true. And no, a lot of times, even just expounded on that, where work on your project, own your project.
Yeah.
Even for me, as photography blossomed into now, it helped me elevate my style, because I was getting around different people. I'm like, whoa, because I'll never forget this day. Now, I went to an event. I'm like, wow, how can I dress like that? And then I think it was like a couple weeks later, I just woke up one day and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be fresh. And from that point forward, I changed my entire wardrobe. And then later, I'll say probably 2 months later, I'm like, I don't like men's accessories. They're all pretty boring and kind of I'm gonna design my own accessories. So I decided first I started with the necklace, and then it blossomed into. I'm sorry, yeah, it was necklace. Now it blossomed into bracelets and earrings and other different things. So I'm hoping to get into rings one day. So I want to get those tools, and then even working as becoming a creative director. Every time I do a photo shoot, I pick the location, we pick the clothes, we pick the color scheme. Everything comes as a cohesive package, and it's just really, I would say it's a blessing to really be a creative.
I agree.
Because it gets to a point where, like, you hear people living mundane lives where they get up, they go to work, they go home, they watch a little TV.
No.
But when you're creative, you could be watching TV, but like, I saw this shape and this contour. I wonder if I can make that into something.
Yeah.
Like your whole, like we were talking about earlier, like your whole world is different.
Yeah, it definitely is. I can't tell you how many times that I'll be having a conversation with someone like, yeah. And they'll be like, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta write that down. That's what happens. It just comes to me like a tsunami in my brain, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to write that down, and I have to do it later, or I have to do that right now, or I'll be like, I have a sketchbook everywhere I go in my car. I don't have one on me right now. Don't judge me. But I have one with me everywhere I go, because you never know when an idea is going to strike you. Like a gun, like a bullet in your chest. And you got to do something to get it out. And you have to do something to make it work and to put it into reality. And there are times when I get too creative and it just becomes like a clusterfuck of things. But then you just refine, you clean it up, you make it work, and then it just turns into something beautiful.
Ooh. Damn. That's 100% true. Mm-hmm. That's definitely true. Because a lot of times, like I say, if you're a regular person, you see something. Well, actually, you don't even see it. You don't even see it. It just happens. Oh, I'm watching this, whatever. But like I said, as a creative, you see something like just a bunch of times I'm driving, I'm like, oh, and he says location, or I'm walking somewhere, I'm like, what is that? And your whole world stands out to you. Like I would go out and say that as a creative, by default, you're more present.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because you can't just walk by something like, oh. But as a creative, like, whoa, what is that? And you go touch it, you go kind of interact if it's available. Like Mel and I were just walking around the studio, and we went to different jewelry shops, and we're seeing like the different textures, the different moldings, the colors, and if it was a regular person that they're not interested in jewelry, they're not gonna look at it. Oh no, that's kind of cool, so whatever. But we're looking at the colors, we're looking at the finish, the texture of it, how would I layer in our skin, if it could work with our skin. And like you can't do that with a normal person.
Not at all.
The respect and the level of the creativity is just not there.
But they could get there. Anybody could be creative if they really, really, really want to. If they really wanted to, they could be creative. But can they be authentic is the question. Like, it's about being authentically you and moving in this world, like basically against the stream, diagonally from the stream, going up, going down from the stream, because fuck the stream. Like, nobody cares about the stream if you're living your life truly creatively. And if you're living your life the way that you see fit, then who cares? Who cares? Why should you care? You're already in your own lane, doing your own thing in your own world. So, and sometimes that world creates little worlds for people. And they go visit and they crash land and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it's like, don't touch anything. Don't touch anything. But it's my favorite thing. I've always knew it. I always knew it. When I was a little girl, like in elementary school, I would charge, and I've always been an entrepreneur too.
Okay, little movie on the side. Okay.
I would charge 25 cents. You want your wedding dress drawn? I got you. I need 25 cents, please. Wow. And I would just do it. There it is. Give me my money. And then when I reached middle school, do you remember those little lanyard strings?
Yeah.
I used to sell those. I used to be rich. middle school rich, you know. Just definitely always trying to do something weird and out of the box because it's just my comfort. That's where I find comfort and solace in getting in the studio and hunching my back like the hunchback of Notre Dame dear. And just getting in there and basically making flames and smoke. Getting in there. Getting all weird. And then when people come in and try me, I'm like, what are you doing here? Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I just get back into it and I'm like, yes. Like a goblin. It's like a goblin. It's the best. It's the best to be a goblin. A creative goblin. It's my favorite.
I can't believe you just say creative goblin.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's great.
Well, I do really, really agree with when you're in the room or you're wherever you're at and you're just zoned in and you're working on something. For someone to come and interrupt the flow, like it's jarring because you're like,
and it's so vulnerable. Like, especially if you're being creative and you're really in the zone and you're in the middle of a process, that's a very vulnerable space, which is why I feel like Instagram is a little invasive when it comes to having people wanting to see the process because it's personal. Yeah. You're connecting with your craft and you want to see the results, but most people want to see how it's made. But at the end of the day, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to be strange about it. I might be naked. So I can't just be recording like all willy-nilly. So it's a very vulnerable space. And I don't mind sharing it sometimes, but other times it's supposed to be for me. The creative process is for me. Yeah. And then the result is for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember I see there's a lady I follow. I still don't. Oh yeah, I follow her because my friend Pao had reposted. Pao's a local artist I know as well, and it's this Chinese lady, and she had these humongous canvases or wooden pieces, and then she's throwing paint, splatter everywhere. But it gets to a point where she starts to draw, and it becomes a beautiful.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I've seen it before.
I remember like, how did that even happen? But her behind the scenes it's not normal behind the scenes. It's like. It's chaotic. It's a theatrical. Yeah. And then once you see the final product, I'm like, she did from that. I'm like, but it's so utterly amazing to see how she embraces the behind the scenes process. Because I know I know a lot of artists as well. There's another lady I know. She does the same thing. Yeah, I'm in my room. I'm painting naked. I'm like, but like you said, it's a very vulnerable area where you're creating. It's because it's coming from the inside out. Yeah. So, like you said, you're messing up. You got to erase. You got to redo something. It's almost like it's like almost a tattoo cover to an extent where you got this part. Like you think you like this part, like damn, no, it's actually kind of lame. So you got to go in there, redo the thing, retexture it, all those kind of things, and it's a very deep process too because everything that comes out of an artist is 100%. Well, I would say for the most part, it's authentic and unique to them. I can't say I've seen an artist have the same thing twice. Oh, that's no, you're copying something. But even if you copy, there's still gonna be nuances that are not even the same.
Yeah, one of one, always one of one. And it's just like you're bearing your soul.
Mm.
If you're bearing your soul, that's just like exposing your muscles and your blood vessels to the elements. That's what it feels like to me when I'm creating and doing the process. It just really feels like I'm opening my chest and just letting it all out into the canvas. And so it's just, I get it. People want to see because they nosy. They nosy. And I get it. Go ahead, be nosy with your nosy self. But it's at the same time, it's very important for that solitude to happen, for you to create at full potential. Because once you feel like somebody's watching you and over your shoulder, that's when it becomes like, okay, I have to do this right. You try to become a perfectionist. And that's not what art is. It's messy, it's weird, it's strange, it's unorthodox. And you have to be allowed to do those things and be that way so you can make your best work.
Yeah.
To make your best work.
Yeah, and no, the whole behind the scenes thing, like it is invasive, and then there's times where I've seen people do it to the point where it's not as invasive. Like I seen there's a guy I recently followed, amazing shapes, sketch artist. I'll show you him afterwards. He's Herman, and for what I seen him do with his BTS is like he has a drawing pad, like you mentioned, a drawing pad. So he'll go on the drawing pad, sketch it out, and then get on the iPad and draw it out and put the shading, different kind of things. And I think that's a really cool way to do it, where it's more on like you're doing show drawing, but the camera is only focused on what the paper is doing. It's not looking what you're doing. And I think that's a cool way to do it as well, because at that point it removes you being scared. Oh, I gotta cover up, or I gotta make sure I'm presentable. Because then at that point, it's like people are there just to see the art at that point.
Yeah.
And even it's been strange as a photographer over time too, because since Instagram has become more video related, and then you have to go and people talking on Twitter to get more views and different kind of things. Mm-hmm. It's like, as an artist, your medium is technically anywhere. It's these platforms that have to adapt to your medium, but now it's unfortunately the other where we have to adapt to the platform, which is not really as fair. But that's the nature of what the situation is. And I think it's been really interesting to see how even photographers, painters, even crafters, people who craft big pieces, how they've managed to really adapt and change. Because I see crafters now that they do time lapses.
Yeah,
so
that's
they
my
do
thing. Time lapses, always. You gotta do a time lapse. You're not gonna see everything. You're just gonna see what I show you, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, now you have to be like a videographer. You have to be like a special effects person, and it's just like you have to make it pop, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. Please stop saying that. But you have to make it pop so people can really be attracted to you, and for you to be able to get the traction that you want. And instead of just doing your thing, you have to basically be a studio. One person is a studio, and I'm like, why?
Even to that extent, because I'm in the process of going through the whole making my own videos thing, and you have to get your hardware, you get your lighting, you have to get make sure your audio is good. And well, I've already come from that background, so I know how to do those different kind of things. But for someone that doesn't know, it's very, very scary. Yeah. It's like, I got to buy equipment. But a lot of time, you have your phone in your quiet environment. It's going to pick up your voice. You got to boost your levels in whatever software you use. So, I mean, it's a bit of a learning tactic. So I also realize that can also scare people away as well. Like for an example, like if you're going to record a time lapse, but I don't know how to do a time lapse.
It's on your phone.
See?
The option's on your phone.
Exactly. So, and it gets to a point where, okay, you almost don't have an excuse now, but you have to you have to learn how to use the hardware. Yeah. Because I remember when the first iPhone came out, I think I was in high school. I think I was in 9th or 10th grade. And my friend's mom, Marcel's mom, she had one, and we kind of play around with it. It was kind of interesting, whatever. But I don't think it wasn't until maybe the iPhone 4 or iPhone 5 or 6 generation where we really started to see video take off a lot faster. Mm-hmm. Photos take off a lot faster because now people had tools in their hand, like were taking respectfully okay photos.
Yeah.
Cameras are still blowing them out the water. Cameras are still blowing them out the water. The only way a phone was good now is if you got ample enough lighting, because the camera is still gonna be better regardless. The depth feels better, but I'm not gonna rant about that.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a long rabbit hole. But just to say that the tools are now so insignificant. We walk around with the tools every single day. Like your phone's a recording studio, your phone's a video studio, your phone is a photography studio to an extent.
An editor, everything.
Everything. So now it gets to a point where it's like, okay, am I gonna let the tool use me, or am I gonna use the tool? And I remember, I think maybe it's been, how long has it been for me? I think probably a good 4 years, where it's like, you know what? I'm gonna get a regular smartphone, and I'm gonna learn how to use it, because it's, from what I've seen, what people could do with just a regular phone in their hand, it's very inspiring.
Yeah, definitely.
And I remember I saw a guy, he was just kind of running around with the phone in his hand, but when you saw the video and how it came out, I'm like, you did all that doing that? I'm like what was I doing? So that's just to say, like, especially now, even with a budget smartphone, like a budget Android phone that's $100-$200, like, you can still create videos. I know YouTubers' careers that started off recording videos off the celly, and then they learn how to record and edit on those kind of things, and now they have the bigger equipment, of course, because you can't really do that for going forward unless you do mobile things. But people still walk around with a big Sony A7 something just like that, or even they have like smaller vlogger cameras now that are more usable, that are easy to use. But it's just like the tools are there, the tools are available, and being an artist and like recording your processes, it's definitely something that, you know, you may or may not like it, but if you want to get the exposure, you want to be known as an artist, like grassroots to like, I guess, big screens, it's totally available now.
Totally doable too.
Like, there's so many artists I would have never found if they never decide, you know what, I don't want to do a social media thing, but let me do it. And now they're like big famous people. Even comedians, like comedians who just do recording skits in their room. Like, there's a guy I follow, Lennar. Like, he was just doing videos in his room.
Hilarious. In his blue room with the green wall.
Yeah.
Yep. I know him. Love him. So funny. And he's just recording skits.
Yeah.
Just recording skits of himself. Things that he'd be like, what if this? And he just recorded it. And it's that simple. Like, it's that simple to just be like, what if I just do this and I record it? And you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to take you. It might take you far. Exactly.
And even for him, like, she's doing that. Are we watching him almost 5-6 years now? Even a little bit more than that. And it's just really cool to see, like, how he was just in his parents' house, just recording videos. Now I'm not seeing he's going back and forth because he's at his own spot, but he's at his parents' house now because he dropped a couple of videos at his parents' house. But just to see, like, the progress of the different computers he had across the time, the different headphones he had at the time, because you see the hardware evolve through different videos, and that's a telling sign of, okay, I started with this, but as I've grew, as I've gotten more money, as I've gotten more things, so I'm gonna change on my hardware. So now everything's different. His audio's definitely different from how it used to be.
For sure. The angles, the camera quality in itself, everything is just amazing. But he started somewhere. That's
exactly.
The best thing.
And that's all it really takes is to start. Like, I remember majority of the self-help books, more of those chapters is about you have to start. You gotta, to reach 1,000 steps, you have to do the first step. And sometimes you kind of hear these corny cliche things, but then I realized it's actually a bigger picture statement, because for you to reach 1,000 steps, that's a long time.
Yeah.
But walking from maybe here to the car, that could be a couple hundred steps.
Exactly.
And it goes fast like that. And it's all about the matter of perspective. Damn. So what's one project that you worked on that it really shifted your perspective about being an artist?
I gotta think about that. Well, I think I have a piece and I sold it immediately. Like it was
Wow.
immediate sell. Thanks, appreciate you. You know who you are. But it's called Gilded Guilt, and it's literally it's one of my paintings that I did, and it's literally just a woman emerging from like some murky black water, screaming. That was it,
Wow.
screaming, and that made me realize that not only can I do this, like as something that can take me. I've been doing art for years, I've been painting for over 12, 15 years now, but I've also been an artist since I was a little wee lad, okay? So, sorry. Lassie, yes. But I've been doing that, and that, I feel that painting was my pivotal point into realism, into hyperrealism, and into different perspectives, because it had such a great like people received it really well. And I had it up in my house for like about a week before it sold. It was an amazing experience, and it's just like, if I create more of these custom pieces, because I typically do commissions, but if I create more of these custom, very idealistic pieces that literally come from my mind, it will be received well. People will love it. And instead of just doing like the typical, I'm going to draw a celebrity, or I'm going to draw somebody that's famous, is just like manifesting an idea and then putting it onto canvas. That really helped me see that, damn, I could do this, or damn, I can really push myself and get my vision out there, and people really appreciate it. And it's just about gaining confidence in your skills more so, and not having imposter syndrome. That was my downfall for a long time, was just having imposter syndrome, thinking I wasn't good enough. But it's because I'm looking at all these amazing artists all the time. So it's just like, can I even get there? And yeah, I can. If I really work hard and I'm persistent. And I've learned that even before COVID hit, like I was getting commissions left and right, doing artwork here and there. I'm getting back into that and reshifting my focus. But it's just like, persistence is key. And dedication and persistence, once you are constantly doing what you love, people will notice. And people like, I want that. Can I get that? Can I have that? That's what they will be like. Yeah. And they'll pay anything. They'll pay anything. If you ask them, they'll pay for it. That shit is crazy.
I mean, because in most cases, it's hard to put a value on art.
Yeah.
Because it takes hours, sometimes weeks, months. I remember I met a guy, he does like really big work. A piece takes him 6 to 8 months. And then he'll sell that for maybe 10 grand.
Yeah, it makes sense. And even if it takes you 3 hours, your skill is what you're putting into it. And all that learning that you did and all that hard work that you did is the value. That's what equates to the value. And I like that he spells that for $10,000. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, and it's because sometimes I hear art prices, but then you have to think about the time.
Yeah.
Because we're all getting paid for our time in some capacity, and even photography, I used to really think like, well, I might be there for like 2 hours. It's not that big of a deal. But then if you think about the creative process, it's the location. Like you're looking at the location, you're scanning. What's a good area I can go right here? Do these colors align here? And it's your whole career process is live and running the entire time for those 2-3 hours.
Yep.
In order for you to make amazing photographs. Like I would say I had the imposter syndrome for a bit of time, because people were saying I was good, but I didn't believe I was good. And there's a guy I met, Hugo. I met him a couple of years ago. I bought a lens from him. And he was kind of trained. He was mentoring me a little bit, and he saw my photos. Like, yeah, your photos are pretty good. Well, they're not great, but they're pretty good. I'm like, this is from a published fashion photographer. I'm like, is this real right now?
Yeah, that always like really shocks me when like an amazing artist is like, oh my God, I love your art. I'm like, me? You love my art? Like, it's really amazing and it's mind blowing to know that all your hard work is really paying off. And it's just, and like, even as a photographer, you're not only using your time up,
Yeah.
but you're taking up the skills. You have to do aperture, you have to do everything. Like, you have to literally make sure that that photo is actually what the client wants. And that takes a lot of skill and it takes a lot of work to do. And then you go back and edit it. That was the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Like, I do not like editing like at all. I'll do it, but I'm gonna complain about it. But it's just really honing into your skills, but also learning to be humble enough that you could always improve. There's always room for improvement. And if you're not improving, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I just always see myself as a student, forever a student.
Yeah. You have to, because especially in the art world where, not even art world, but you go outside.
Yeah.
And you look at the sky and you see like a form in the sky. Damn, that's really cool. I wonder if I could paint that. And or you look at a plant, or you just wake up. You even look at the ceiling, like, damn, those ceiling, the whatever that's on the ceiling looks like a mountain, a mountain range. I wonder if I could make some out of that.
Yep.
And it's just even going back to social skills. You're always evolving social skills because I remember where I was and where I'm at now. And there's still so much more I can do. I could be a more eloquent speaker. I could be better at dialogue. I could be better at openings and starting conversation, ending conversation, and transitioning so much forth. And it's like a never-ending tunnel.
Yeah, it's never ending, and you just keep on going and going and going. And once you learn one thing, it's time to learn the next thing. And once you learn the next thing, oh, wait, you got another thing to learn.
Yeah.
So it's always every avenue of your life, whether it be in your social skills, whether it be you being creative, whether it be even in education, you are always going to learn something new.
Yeah.
And you have to be accepting of that, and you have to be humble enough, and you have to be like more humble, and you have to be understanding of the fact that you're not going to know everything. You'll never know anything. The more you know, the less you understand. Like the more you grow your knowledge, the less you're figuring like, damn, I know nothing. Jon Snow.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and it's just accepting the fact that all knowledge is not going to come to you. You're not going to know everything. You're not an all-knowing being, and that's the human experience.
Yeah.
Is learning and keep on learning, and then after you're done learning, you keep on learning.
Yeah.
So I really think that's the best part about being an artist, being a human, really.
Yeah.
Is always learning something new. It's cool.
Yeah. I want to add on to that about always learning something new, because for I would say majority of people, most people don't learn new things. They get stuck in their ways, like especially as you get older. Or because I know my mom, for example. I mean, my mom's learned some new things across a little bit over time, but at the core, she's still been the same.
Yeah.
And I realized even for my brother has changed a lot ever since we've been working together. But at the core, his core is different. And even for me, like, I work with people that's been in their jobs for 10, 20 years. And to me, that's a bit disappointing. And I say that because they could have done so much more. They could have went to a different company, learned a new skill, went to a different company, learned a different skill. And in some cases, it could have been entrepreneurial. But I can't really push that on people. But it's just really interesting to see how, I remember when I was working at Carnival Cruise Lines, there's a lady who's been there for 35 years. If Jen is still there now, it'd be 40 years she's been there. And I'm like, what made you stay for that long? I got comfortable. with being an artist or being a creative, you can't get comfortable.
Because once you get comfortable, it becomes uncomfortable.
Exactly.
So I'm not
And
trying to be that.
Like, I wonder why is my art not different? Like, why am I'm not getting traction? Like your brain auto puts you in a point where something's not right here.
Yeah.
And then you start to think, like, damn, what happened to my stuff? Like, because I remember I had a 4-year photography hiatus, and it was a terrible story.
I want to hear it. Let's hear it. Why not?
So the company I was working at the time,
Okay.
Amazing company, amazing people I was working with, but I went on a trip. I went on a business trip, and I didn't have any days, any paid time off. So I told them, I'll just take the day. I'll just take the days not paid. It was like 2-3 days. It was whatever. I was living at home. It wasn't a big deal. And I come back, and then I see my stuff's in the bag, and they meet me at the front, and we go have that meeting, and I was like, yeah, we're letting you go because you have the pain tied off. But like, I communicated, yeah, I said, I'm willing to not get paid, even if I don't have the time up. I had to go. So we had a small conversation. I had to give them all the back to company stuff. What I was really intending to do before I even left was, I was working on writing a document that the camera was signed over to my possession. So in case something did happen like that, I would have paperwork. Okay, this was signed over to me. Blah blah blah. I didn't do that in time, and so I lost all the gear I had, all the lenses. The bodies were gone, and at that point, I just took, you know what? Let me just take a break. But even all that time, I didn't feel the same. I wasn't as excited. I wasn't as happy. And this was from, I don't think it was for 4 years. It was from 2015 to when iPhone 10 came out. I think 2017, 2018.
Why is the iPhone 10 your
I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there.
Okay.
So I remember that I wasn't big on mobile photography at that time. Because I was used to the camera, amazing angles, amazing fidelity. And the phones at the time, they weren't really that great. Well, people were doing things with them with ample lighting, but I didn't want to go through all that. So I saw the WWDC that year. I think it was either 2017 or 2018. And Apple dropped the iPhone 10, and they talked about the camera system. I'm like, well, maybe I could do the mobile thing, a shot. And so I caught the iPhone 10. It was crisp. It was shiny. I got the silver one. I love silver. And it was such a weird instance, Melissa. My friend had called me. My friend Natalie, she's a recent model. And she's like, yeah, my photographer canceled on me. Like, would you be able to take my photos? I'm like, nah, I don't have a camera. I'm like, well, actually, I do have something. So I remember I just got the new iPhone. So I went out there. I kind of finagled the portrait mode. That initial portrait mode wasn't that great. But regular shots, I took some amazing shots. I was like, wow, I still got it. And from that point forward, later that year, I shot my cousins for her 24th to 25th birthday. The following year, I did like 5 or more gigs with the phone. I mean, wow. That point I learned it's not the gear. It's what you are or who you are.
Yes, that's what it is.
And because I was really fighting the whole phone thing because I thought it was going to be lame.
And look, it wasn't. Lo and behold, it wasn't lame.
And it's like, because even as a photographer, even photographers know that there's always gear syndrome. Like, they always want the new thing. Like, oh, I want this new body because there's all these features. But at the core, photography hasn't changed. It's always the person behind the camera. Yeah. If you don't have the eye, you don't have the eye. Your photo's gonna be trash. Yeah. If you don't know how to properly do composition and coloring, I would say one of my greatest skills is that majority of my photos are just out of camera. I had to do very light editing, if not any. Maybe I got to boost color here or there, but I make sure my the triangle exposure triangle is on point. Because I know editing, like you mentioned, editing is really lame. Like for me to sit there and then I got to crop. I got to color.
God.
I got to finagle somebody's face. The whole face thing, I have Portrait Pro for that. I don't have any idea William's face. I just got to move a slider. This looks real enough. Oh, okay, it's fine. But it's just, it puts you, everything goes back to you.
Yeah.
You have to be the individual that knows how to do those things. Mm-hmm. And when it came to even being like, are you sure I did that? Like, I didn't know I could do that. This is a second person that I think this was one of my most influential photography mementos. I went to California for a work trip, and I was in downtown San Francisco. I met a guy in a camera shop. His name is Michael Ruth. Michael, at the time, was the highest rated wildlife photographer in the West Coast. And I was in town for a day. I was there for a couple hours. No, actually, I was there for the weekend. Because I got there, I think, Thursday. And he invited me to his house. I think it was Sunday. I went Sunday to his house. We did some photographer training where he taught me some things. And even him rated the best wildlife photographer of the West Coast. So I did good work. I'm like, someone had me punking me at that time. Someone had me punking you. Someone had me punking me. Like, this man, like, I went in his house. He had a gigantic photo of him for firefighters, and they're walking into smoke and into a fire. And it was so captivating. I'm like, wow. But I'm here. I remember driving back home. I just cannot be real. This man told me that I have, like, my work is good. And I'm like, so that imposter syndrome slapped me in the face harder than ever at that time, because then I started to realize, you know what? These people can't be lying to me. Because I see bad photos, and I've seen good photos and amazing photos. But for people of good caliber to tell you have good work, it's just like, damn, maybe I am legit after all. Like, maybe I'm like, So I know definitely you're going to have a story about that. So tell me about a time where people seen your work and they didn't think like you did it, but it was actually you.
Does that even happen to me? I don't even think so. Gotta think about that. I guess I did an art show for Miami-Dade College, and it was a very, very rough time for me where I had no creativity left in my body because I literally was like putting it in other places and stressing myself out and just basically running myself thin. And I did the art show, and I literally whipped up these paintings in like a week.
Wow.
And I was like, I hate everything. I hate all of this. I hate every single one of them. Even now, to this day, I still hate them. Wow. Okay? And people, I was received so well at the art show. And it was a time where I wasn't doing well with my health. I wasn't doing well with my mental health. And I just was like desperate to just create. And although it didn't turn out the way that I wanted to because I rushed, sorry. I rushed it, but it was so well received, and I just got so much love and support from it. And it's just like, you think, especially as a creative, that you look at your work and you're like, this is crap. Like, this is just straight crap. But you have to realize that not everybody could do this. Yeah. Not everybody knows how to do this, and not everybody knows like even where to start. And the fact is that you completed it. So that should be enough to really hold you up with your creativity. And if that's not enough, then take the compliments too. Yeah. So that helps too. And like all these wildlife photographers, all these world-renowned photographers telling you, they all called each other and was like, hey, tell Quinn that he's great. That's what they did.
I mean, the cooperation, that skill is huge.
That's some good cooperation. Like, who knows if they know each other for real, you know? So, I mean, if you're great, it doesn't matter how small, how big, it's going to show. Yeah. It's going to show. there's a song that I really love by Durand and Queen Hervey. It's called Self-Aware. And basically in the song, he says, I'm amazing, bitch, and I know it. And I don't have to show shit because I show it. Like, he basically is like, I don't have to tell you that I'm amazing because I'm going to show you how amazing I am. And I take that to heart. Like, that's one of the songs that I find that I take to heart a lot of the time, especially when I'm feeling low. It's just, remember that you're amazing and you don't have to show anybody but yourself that you're amazing.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's really hard to really be consistent with that train of thought, especially with all these things and all life, basically life kicking your ass every single day. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure you have your creative corner to come back to and run and sit down and be a goblin.
He's a goblin.
Be a goblin, everyone. It's important to be unapologetically weird so you can be as authentic to yourself as possible. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. And I can't wait to do another art show, honestly, because the stuff I do now compared to what I did back then, it's like night and day.
Amazing.
To me, it's night and day.
Yeah.
And some people will be like, oh, you can sell these original pieces. I was like, I can't. I can't sell these original older pieces because I just feel like I'm spitting in my own face. And I don't want to spit in my own face. I want to make sure that every single thing that I exchange with a person is like, yeah, I did that. Or yeah, I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see how that looks on somebody's wall. So it's just making sure that you circle back to yourself and be a goblin in the corner. Do that.
I don't like the gobbling because of posture, but yeah.
That's me. That's me when I'm crazy. It's like fucking up my back, but then I just like, and then you just go back to it. You gotta be hunched over. That's the best creative posture. The best creative posture. You don't know about that. You don't know about that because you don't pick up no paintbrushes, no pencils, no nothing, no charcoal, no color pencils. You don't do that. You have to. The posture is in the posture. Don't forget.
Well, as a photographer, you getting some.
Yeah, you're getting some weird spots.
Some weird spots. When I shot for a magazine, 2015,
nice.
There's a shot. I was literally on the floor, and I had the camera in my hand, and I'm aiming up at the girls. But when I shoot that picture, it was an amazing photo.
I want to see it.
It was absolutely incredible. And then that's one of the times I was like, damn, I really did that. And I was straight out of the camera. It was heat straight out of the camera. I'm like, man, I can't believe I really did that though. I was like, wow. Oh, damn.
Gotta remind yourself every now and then that you really did that.
Really did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a physical copy of the magazine. I just look at that picture. I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Because I remember it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But like, my neck was straining. I'm here on the floor. I'm like, okay. And just moving around, just going crazy in that joint. But then when I saw the photos, when I went home, like, damn, you really did this, man. And it's like, I cried.
I love that. Crying is important.
Because it's like, wow. I thought I was lame. But I have all these people that believed in me. And then, like, hey, why don't you come shoot this from an editorial? I'm like, but I've never shot an editorial. You already did, like, oh, okay. But it just really showed you that, like you said, you could do anything.
Anything.
And, I kind of forgot that a little bit later on. Because I was like, oh, well, and the buts and the yeah what but it actually came back to me maybe a couple of years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, like damn, because like especially when it comes to style, like I remember when I first started even getting involved in style and I was working on my wardrobe, like I don't think my fits were that great because I can remember all the fits that I went through. They were really that great, but I still had enough that people thought they were. I'm like, oh, I love your outfit. I'm here wearing a jean shirt with a blazer, some white chinos.
I'm casual as hell right now.
Super, super casual, but it was so well put together that people, like, I stood out from the crowd every single time.
Yeah.
And I think style, well, for me in my case, it also really changed my life too, because it put me in a space where I had to express who I was. And even now, it came full circle even now, because every time I meet someone for the first time, oh, I love your style. We have a conversation. Oh, you have great energy. Yeah. So now I see that person again. Oh my gosh, you look amazing as always. Like, oh, your energy feels so good. It's like it's a whole package now.
Yeah.
And
it's a conversation starter.
Yeah. Oh, I love whatever. Okay. Thank you. I think a big thing about that too is receiving. Because there's a time where I had a hard time receiving compliments because I thought people were out to get me.
What?
Well, a little backstory behind that was, no, I was quote unquote introverted for a very long time, and I didn't have social skills at that point. I didn't know what those were. Mm-hmm. So I was afraid, not having conversations with people because I didn't have that strong self-identity at that time. So when you're thinking people are to get you, it's putting you in a case where it's like, okay, you're just really weird people all the time. So when I'm getting compliments, I'm like, oh, okay.
What do you want?
Exactly.
What do you want?
And then over time, I started to like really look into that and read books about it. And I say thank you now. And if I see something that's someone where that's really cool, so, oh, I love this on you as well. So kind of like make sure I'm including that person into that thing. So, and especially I know you have a very distinct, unique, very wide spectrum of a unique look for yourself. Can you talk about how you developed that and how I got to this point?
Well, I've always been, thank you, appreciate that. I've always been an ambivert, where I'm a little bit of an introvert, but I'm also an extrovert, and I love interacting with people and getting to know people. So it's just started with me wanting to be a fashion designer, really, and always looking for the next cool thing that I could put on my body. Yeah. And it's just another way for me to express myself. And whenever I've always wanted it, so whenever people see me, they know exactly what I am. I'm an artist. Yeah. And I went to the dentist the other day, and I was literally in my you seen that all jean outfit I was wearing.
Yeah, tough.
I even had a jean jacket over it and stuff. Clean. I got my mouth open and they're like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I'm an artist. I'm an artist. He's like, yeah, I know. I figured you're an artist. Like, it's just, I've always wanted to present myself I don't have to say a word. And all you have to do is look at me. And you're like, oh yeah, that's a creative person. Or, oh yeah, that's an artist. And the way that I developed that is just by just experimenting and doing things that were more unorthodox. Or if it was a weird thing, I wanted it. If it was bold, I wanted it. If it was just unique, the thrift store is my best friend. Okay, we besties. And there's always something unique, and people might think it's ugly, but to me, I'm like, I can make that pop. Don't say that. I can make that pop. But it's just like, it's just basically putting it on and it feels good. That's it. That's all it takes. It feels good to me, and I look in the mirror, I'm like, okay, that's what I'm talking about. Now that's what I'm talking about. And then you just keep on, and you walk out and you embody it, and you embrace it. Because some people will basically do something out of the box, like considered to them out of the box, and they'll walk around and just hide themselves. Yes. Why would you do that? Why would you put that fit on if you're not going to put that fit on? Yeah. Like, don't let it wear you. You wear it. Exactly. So it's about being confident in your choices. You made that choice. Walk in your truth. And that's all it takes is for you to walk in your truth and be as strange as you want to. And for me, I always have a vision about how I want to look. And sometimes it's not going to match the rack, which is why I want to get back into sewing. But it's not going to match the rack, but you make it match.
Yes.
And you have a feeling that you want to portray, and you find it in an outfit, and you embody it, you live it, and you just own it, really.
Yes.
And that's something that I've always done. And I think it really took off after I cut my hair. And I do have a lot of reasons as to why I did it. For a while, I had very, very long black hair that I was growing out, but then I got sick and my hair started falling out.
Oh.
So I was like, I could be sad about this, or I can transform my look and make this work.
Yeah.
And after, like, I noticed that the back of my head was just basically balding, and I was like, this is strange. And I've always wanted to try short hair, because I was like, how would it look on me? Would I enjoy it? Would it look good on me? Would I like it? And after that whole ordeal with me being unwell and I cut my hair, I never looked back. And it's just like, for me, for a long time, I used to wear a lot of weave and fake hair and all this stuff. I used to hide behind my hair. And I used to just kind of confine myself behind that. And once I started cutting it and coloring it the way I wanted to, it was just like, now you're going to see me in my entirety in 360. There's no reason to hide anymore. There's no reason to cover myself, because what you see is what you get. Yeah. And I want you to know exactly what you're getting, which is why I dress the way that I dress, and I like to do the different things I do. Even when I put on very simple outfits, like earlier today, I went to Brandsmart USA with my dad, and I was just wearing some camo pants and a zebra shirt. I love mixing patterns. That's my thing.
Huge.
And I got so many compliments. I'm like, I just put this thing on. I was like, let's go, daddy. Like, that's all I did, was I just put it on. So it's just, even if you're not trying, people will notice if you really walk in your truth. That's all it takes. Be yourself, love it, and the world will love it too. And even if they don't love it, who cares? Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah. Wow. Can you break down today's fit?
So today's fit, I call it the panic fit, right? The panic of the fitso, right? So basically what I did is I have this dress here that I've worn before, but I just like to repurpose things in different ways. And I have this corset that I already had, and I was like, all right, that'd be cute together, but that's boring. I don't want to be bored. I like to add textures, and I like to add just different visual elements for people to just want to look at. Like in an S, in an F, in a Z, always you're looking from top to bottom, or bottom to top, because I want you to look around and be like, wow, that's nice. Oh, there's that. Oh, there's that. There's that. So this shirt is actually a men's shirt that I cut up and I hemmed. And then I had like a weird second collar. I cut that part off too. It was weird. And I just basically put it together, and I'm trying in the mirror, and I'm like, yeah, that works. That works for me. That works for me. That works for me. That works for me. And then you keep on adding elements to it until it's a complete look. And accessories are important. You know.
Very important.
I don't got to tell you that. Yeah. You know accessories are important. It literally takes an outfit from basic to bombastic. Yeah. So it's just like, you got to make sure that you accessorize, especially colors that accentuate your skin. Like, definitely. I'm a gold girl. I love gold. I'm always wearing gold. And if I can kind of put like little unique little quirky things a part of my outfit, like my kiss earrings, this little swirly necklace that I'm wearing, my 17,000 big rings. So it's about putting a look together, creating that look in your head, and then once you get it on, you finalize and you finish it, and you're like, this is it. Yeah. Once that feeling of this is it happens, leave, go outside, and show everybody what you got on. That's what you gotta do.
Yeah, 1,000%. Because even when I first saw it, it's the different colors, and of course you have on the accessories, so a little what you have on your head at the top, the glasses, the earrings, even the color scheme. It's all a cohesive scheme. If you look at it from top to bottom, there's nothing out of place. Everything is aligned, and that's what it comes. Honestly, when it comes to personal styles, like personal style is a big differentiator for everybody because most people don't have a style.
Yeah.
Most people just kind of follow what other people are doing. People just kind of throw on what they have on. But when you're honoring yourself, you have a dedicated style that people could immediately see when you step out in the world. And for me, developing my style was I just wanted a fusion of like, business and then casual. And burying Cornet as casual, but I never thought about it in that way because I always wanted to have an aristocratic look, but then those schemes are a little bit too extreme for day to day,
even stuffy sometimes.
Yeah, so I want to do something where I'm gonna have colors, I'm gonna have contrast, I'm gonna have patterns, I'm gonna have different things. Like even for today, I'm within the same color scheme. But this shirt has a pink stripe on it. That's a huge pop of color, sent out from the blue, and it's a huge contrast to the other colors. I'm wearing browns, blue. So majority earth tones, water, ground, and I've always loved people who had great style because you can immediately tell that person knows who they are.
Yeah, and that's a part of it. Like once you can show your style through and through the exact way that you want, it's like you're in tune with yourself. And once you become in tune with yourself, nobody can tell you shit. Like, they can't tell you anything. And for me, fashion has always been, like, I love runways. Like, my favorite fashion designer is Zuhair Murad. Like, I absolutely love his work. It's amazing. And it's just... my thing with fashion, especially now, is textures.
Yes.
I love textures and mixing different textures together to create something like an art piece. Like I want to be living, breathing art as I'm walking around. Not only I create it, I am it.
Yes.
So it's just
100%.
It's important for me to just express myself in every. We're gonna go back to the beginning. To express myself in every avenue of life. Because if I'm not expressing myself, I will die. I will die.
It's pretty extreme.
It's extreme, but that's how I feel. If I'm not able to be creative, I think I'm just going to explode and become like a black hole and just die. That's how I feel.
That's a pretty dark way to explain that.
Hey, you can't spell paint without pain.
Damn.
Okay.
Yeah, you should definitely trademark that.
I definitely am. That's my favorite saying. That's my favorite saying.
So for some closing thoughts, what are something you want to have the audience know that can help them be better as themselves?
Like I've been saying, it's just learn who you are. A lot of people don't know who they are. And whatever that takes, whether you're going through the darkness, the muck, the light, the happy times, the fun times, just learn who you are and embrace it because you're all you have.
Yeah.
And if you're not fully expressing yourself, then you're missing out on a large part of life that could be so beautiful that you'll never experience if you don't learn to love. And even if you don't love some parts of yourself, you have the propensity to change. You have the ability to change it into something that you like.
Yeah.
And if at the end of the day, you're the only person that you'll have for your entire life. And
yes.
If you're not loving on you and loving the things that you do, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, that should be your main priority, to find out what you like, what you love, and be obsessed with it. Be completely obsessed with it, because that's going to bring the light into your life. And we all need some light. Everybody needs light.
Yeah. We, especially in today, in this time, there's more love and light needed.
Yeah.
And I will definitely agree with that message, because the more people who will understand and evolve into understanding who they are and believing in their own powers, definitely so much more lives will change.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know how to really end on that, but technically that is the message. Be the love and light you want to see in the world. And as Melissa said, create or you might die.
You're gonna die. I know I will. I know I'll die if I don't create. And it's just love on the people that love you too.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'll be your support and they'll be the light that you might need if you don't have it. So you can find yourself. They might be that little torch that you might need, and then they turn into a big bright sun.
Yeah.
So just make yourself the center of your universe, but understand that you're not the whole universe at the same time.
Yeah.
So create your world and have your little population of people inside of it, and your animals and your plants and your flora and your fauna, but also be incorporated into reality as well. It's important to have a safe space. And I always have my own little universe that I can run back to, so I can recharge, so I can be creative again and fill my own cup. Make sure you're filling your own cup too. That's important, because you can't pour from a cup that got a hole in it.
Or is empty.
Or that's empty.
Yeah.
So that's important.
And on that note, thank you for tuning in to the episode of Style Versus. See you for the next one.